January 1996. Inside General Motors diesel assembly plant on Oxford Street East in London, Ontario, an 8-wheeled vehicle eased off the production line. It rode low, its sharp angles coated in a matte green that dulled the pale winter light filtering through the factory windows. Just over 13 tons of steel and purpose. A turret sat up top, armed with a 25mm chain gun, a coaxial machine gun, and banks of smoke launchers. Along the rear hull, a folded telescoping mast lay flat, like an antenna waiting to rise. At a glance, it was forgettable. Another armored car. Another silhouette easy to overlook. That was the point. Because this unassuming machine would go on to operate across 3 continents. It would patrol the Balkans before NATO ground forces fully arrived. It would detect a Russian dash toward Pristina airport before Allied command even confirmed the movement. It would watch over Canadian troops in their most intense combat since Korea. And for nearly a decade, it would remain the most sensor-capable wheeled reconnaissance vehicle in NATO. It was called the Coyote. And it changed how a middle power saw the battlefield, by seeing first. To understand why the Coyote mattered, you have to go back to 1991. The Cold War ended almost overnight. The Soviet threat that had justified decades of planning and spending simply vanished. Canada's reconnaissance fleet, however, hadn't caught up with reality. It relied on the Lynx, a small, tracked scout built on a 1960s chassis, designed for a European war that never happened. The Lynx could see only as far as its cruise binoculars allowed. It carried a .50 caliber machine gun and little else. No radar. No thermal imaging. No laser rangefinder. At night, in fog, or through dust, it was effectively blind. The Canadian Army needed something new. An ambitious replacement effort launched in 1991 collapsed under its own cost by the following year. But by 1993, a revised plan took shape, 203 new reconnaissance vehicles, built in London, Ontario. The result would be the Coyote, based on the Swiss-designed Piranha 8x8 platform, the same family used by the U.S. Marine Corps LAV III. On paper, the Coyote looked like a solid, conventional design. Its hull was welded ballistic steel, reinforced with optional ceramic armor. A Detroit diesel engine pushed it to 100 km/h on roads, with a range of roughly 660 km. It could tear across rough ground at speed, and keep moving even on damaged tires. The turret-mounted M242 Bushmaster could fire 25mm rounds at 200 rounds per minute, switching between armor-piercing and high-explosive ammunition. Secondary machine guns and smoke launchers rounded out its defenses. But none of that defined the vehicle. The weapons were there for survival. The real purpose of the Coyote sat behind the turret. Its core was the Reconnaissance Vehicle Surveillance System, a suite of sensors that turned the vehicle into something far more dangerous than its weapons suggested. In its mass configuration, the Coyote could raise a 10-meter telescoping sensor head above terrain while remaining completely hidden behind cover. From that elevated perch, it deployed a combination of systems rarely seen together at the time. A ground surveillance radar capable of detecting moving vehicles up to 24 kilometers away, and distinguishing between trucks, tracked vehicles, individuals on foot, even low-flying helicopters. A long-range day and night camera with full 360-degree coverage, reaching out to 18 kilometers. A thermal imager that could cut through darkness, smoke, and dust, identifying targets at 12 kilometers. And a laser rangefinder, accurate to within meters, feeding precise coordinates directly into targeting systems. The alternative configuration pushed things further, deploying remote sensor units connected by fiber optic cable, allowing surveillance far from the vehicle itself. Inside, a dedicated operator fused all of this data in real time, tracking, recording, and analyzing targets as they moved. In 1996, no other wheeled vehicle in NATO could do this. The Balkans became the first real proving ground. Canadian reconnaissance units deployed into Bosnia as part of NATO stabilization forces. There, Coyotes monitored ceasefire lines, tracked smuggling routes, and watched mountain passes that had once allowed weapons to move unseen. Crews would park behind ridgelines, raise the mast, and observe entire regions without revealing their presence. For the first time, darkness stopped being an advantage. Kosovo revealed just how powerful that capability could be. In June 1999, as NATO forces entered the region, Coyote crews detected a Russian racing toward Pristina airport, before higher command had confirmed the movement. The vehicle wasn't just gathering information, it was outrunning the systems meant to process it. Later, it tracked infiltration attempts across contested borders, generating intelligence faster than decision-makers could handle. Then came Afghanistan. In 2002, Coyote crews deployed to Kandahar. Using thermal imaging, they identified insurgents preparing mortar attacks on coalition bases. The sequence became routine: detect, track, transmit coordinates, call in fire. Threats were neutralized before they could act. But as the mission shifted deeper into Kandahar province, the risks changed. The Coyote had been built for mobility and observation, not for surviving roadside bombs. Its flat-bottom hull left it dangerously exposed to improvised explosive devices. And the cost became clear. In 2007, a buried bomb flipped a Coyote and tore it apart, killing Master Corporal Alan Stewart. Others died in similar strikes. Crews fought to save one another inside burning wreckage, sometimes succeeding, sometimes not. Acts of extraordinary bravery followed, soldiers risking their lives to pull comrades from destroyed vehicles. But the reality was unavoidable: the battlefield had evolved faster than the platform. Even so, the Coyote's capabilities remained unmatched for years. Other reconnaissance vehicles prioritized firepower or mobility. Some carried heavier guns. Others were lighter or more compact. But none combined radar, thermal imaging, long-range optics, and precise targeting in a single-wheeled platform the way the Coyote did. It could detect, classify, and locate targets at distances where it remained completely unseen, and then guide fire onto them without exposing itself. During training exercises in California, it produced so much intelligence that U.S. command units struggled to keep up. One vehicle. One troop. Too much information to process. By the 2020s, time had caught up with it. The platform had reached its limits, too heavy to upgrade further, not protected enough for modern threats. Canada began replacing it with newer systems, designed to observe while moving and survive in environments saturated with explosives. In 2024, dozens were transferred to Ukraine, potentially returning to a battlefield shaped by the same doctrines they were originally built to monitor. But its legacy was already set. From frozen checkpoints in Bosnia to the dust of Kandahar, the Coyote proved something simple and profound. Firepower isn't everything. Across 203 vehicles, 3 continents, and decades of service, it didn't dominate by shooting first. It dominated by seeing first. It found the enemy before the enemy knew it was being watched. It generated targets before it became one. It turned information into action, quietly, efficiently, and often invisibly. That wasn't chance. It was design. A vehicle built not just to fight, but to understand the fight before it began. Some Coyotes were retired. Others were sent abroad.